This is Super Yacht News with E. Sisman. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So, the seized Russian-owned superyacht, motor yacht Scheherazade, has moved out of the shipyard she's been effectively imprisoned in for the last 2 years. The yacht, which is commonly known as Putin's yacht by the locals in Italy, is connected to the Russian leader and is believed to be his own personal yacht, at least one of multiple yachts at his disposal. The 140-metre yacht, which is about 460 foot, which is actually probably 142 metres now, or 465 feet after the vessel had a stern extension, which was carried out whilst seized in the shipyard of the Italian Sea Group in Marina di Carrara last year, the same company that owns Perini Navi that built the Bayesian. The mega yacht has been prevented from leaving since her arrest and seizure in 2022 after Russia invaded Ukraine. Now, the ownership of the yacht has been disputed, and the man who claims to own the vessel, Edward Kutenitov, is also the same person who claims to own the yacht seized by the US in Fiji in 2022, motor yacht Amadea. He claims to own both vessels. Scheherazade has moved out of the shipyard in Marina di Carrara for the first time in over 2 years. The yacht turned on her AIS for the first time in quite a while, and it shows the yacht currently at anchor just outside of the shipyard. Now, just as you might expect, the massive superyacht is being shadowed by at least one Italian military vessel to prevent the vessel, heading for international waters, I guess. That vessel is broadcasting AIS, so it's quite possible there could be others that are not, because there's no requirement for naval vessels to broadcast AIS. Now, the yacht's AIS flag change, which we've reported on, in 2022, has finally gone through onto the AIS system, because the vessel changed flags from Cayman Islands to Malaysia after the Cayman Islands terminated the yacht as her flag state in 2022 because of the sanctions. But it's only just gone through on the AIS because it's been switched off for most of the time. The upkeep of the vessel is believed to be being paid for by the company that officially owns the yacht. Now, if you're interested to know more about this yacht, if you're new to the channel and you don't know the story, we've made a number of videos about this vessel since it was seized, and ongoing videos to talk about what we've just mentioned there about the who's paying for the yacht and who owns it and all that kind of stuff. I'll put a link in the corner and in the description if you want to see those videos. Okay, we'll move on to the main story. There's been a preliminary report on the grounding of the Royal New Zealand Navy ship on a reef on the southern side of Samoa on the 5th of October. The vessel, called Manawanui, grounded there after having some issues, which we'll go into. Now, the Chief of the Navy, Rear Admiral Gary Golding, stood up a course of inquiry following the incident in order to understand the facts of what occurred. He said that the direct cause of the grounding has been determined as a series of human errors, which meant the ship's autopilot was not disengaged when it should have been. The crew did not realise Manawanui remained in autopilot, and as a consequence mistakenly believed its failure to respond to direction changes was the result of a thruster control failure. Having mistakenly assessed a thruster control failure, standard procedures should have prompted the ship's crew to check that the ship was under manual control rather than on autopilot. This check did not occur. Remaining in autopilot resulted in the ship maintaining a course toward land until grounding and eventually stranding. The Rear Admiral went on to say that given human error was identified as the cause, a separate disciplinary process would need to be commenced once the course of the inquiry had concluded. Now, there's a full timeline on the New Zealand Navy website. I'll place a link below if you want to see the whole thing. We're going to give you a summary of it here. But basically, on the 5th of October, the vessel was conducting a survey operation on the southern side of Samoa on the 5th of October. The vessel was placed onto a heading of 340 degrees. A few seconds or minutes later, the crew attempted to turn from that heading to a starboard course towards the east, but the ship did not respond as intended. The vessel continued on a course heading towards the reef. The crew on the bridge at the time believed the fault to be mechanical, or a fault with the thruster control failure, as mentioned. However, no check was made to see if the vessel was in manual control. So it appears that once they turned the vessel, the report says that the vessel turned to 340 degrees manually. That was done manually. It appears that somebody placed the vessel onto autopilot and didn't remember doing so. Now, to do this, when you put a vessel into autopilot, it's not like you can accidentally do it. You have to lift up a cover to the autopilot switch and then press that switch. So you can't do it mistakenly. Now, the vessel traveled 365 meters before becoming stranded, grounding multiple times along the way. And the mistake was not recognized for 10 minutes. This is when the autopilot was disengaged. They've probably got this information from the VDR, the voyage data recorder. Now, some people said that a military vessel would not have a voyage data recorder, but I believe, based on information that we have, that the vessels do have them. The Royal Fleet Auxiliary and the Royal Navy ships have these data recorders, so I would imagine this one will have one too. Now, the Rear Admiral said that there was an officer of the watch on the bridge, and that person was also being supervised by another, and both failed to notice the autopilot was engaged. They have, as far as we can tell, they've not given a list of who was on the bridge at the time. On a Navy vessel, they tend to have more people than you would have on a civilian vessel. So there was probably 4 or 5 people on that bridge. The chain of command would have been whoever was supervising the officer of the watch would probably be the highest rank on the bridge. But like I said, they haven't given a list, so we don't know. But that's basically the timeline of what happened. They tried to move the vessel off the reef once they got control, but they couldn't move the vessel. And then about 30 minutes later, the captain decided to abandon ship. Whilst they still could, they were listing over to such a degree that if they'd gone any further, they would have not been able to launch the lifeboats. So that was a good decision. They also still had their generators running at the time, so they were able to do that because you need power to do that. So anyway, that's the shortened version of what's happened. Like I said, it's a preliminary report. It's not a full report. The preliminary report was designed to find out to talk about what happened and not who is to blame. That's going to come in a following report. The final report will probably have that as well. Like I said, they said there's going to be disciplinary hearing as well. Now, we don't know, like I said, who was on the bridge at the time. Based on the last videos, the previous videos we did on this subject, was a lot of people giving opinions. Probably none of those people have any sea-going experience at all. Certainly in the military does things very differently to civilian vessels. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, obviously the responsibility of the vessel does go to the captain, regardless of where the captain was at the time or what was done on the bridge. But there seems to be, with some people, there seems to be an idea that the captain is steering the ship, like Jack Sparrow on the wheel, and it's not like that at all. The officer of the watch is the one that's in control, and regardless of who's on the bridge of any vessel, whether it's civilian or military, the officer of the watch has the control, and they make all the inputs. You don't have the captain wandering around pressing buttons and changing things, but you shouldn't have that, because the officer of the watch has the overview of what's going on, right? And if somebody else is making changes, then the officer of the watch has lost that overview of what's happening, and that's where you get incidents happening. That's where mistakes happen. So, like I said, we'll have to wait and see for the final report, but will be very interesting to find out. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. There's no Friday Yacht Spot today. I've been super busy, and I'm on my own today, so I've not been able to put that together. So, maybe we'll do it on Monday, or we'll do it next Friday. But anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, if you've got any information for us about any of these stories or any of the others, still looking into the vessel that sank in Egypt, please be sure to get in touch. We'll put an email address in the ticker, and you can get us on social media at the Yacht Report as well. All right, guys, have a great weekend, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye.